and they've made the decision to leap in. And so let's find out from them. Open the batting tonight, the Honourable Ed Husic MP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cameron, and good evening, everyone. And it is a great pleasure to be here in a terrific initiative. This in terms of bringing together people that are passionate about Labor, but also want to see us be able to make bridges within business communities. Because frankly, if we don't get that right, we don't get a number of other things right, particularly in relation to the creation of jobs into the future. And being able to truly represent a community means you don't just represent one part of it, you represent as many as you can, and having an ability to get across these issues is crucial for us, particularly in terms of developing policy that actually matters to the communities that we want to represent. And in this space, who would have thought Labor would be talking about entrepreneurs? I got asked this last year when I visited the Melbourne Accelerator program out of Melbourne University. I had an entrepreneur say, "What is Labor doing talking about entrepreneurs?" and quizzing me about why we were so interested in this area. And when you think about it, the whole notion of entrepreneurialism, and in particular our image that we had in our minds about entrepreneurs, was it was an Alan Bond or a Christopher Skase. It went back into the 80s, and it was quite, that is an image that a lot of modern entrepreneurs today say that they're dealing with, that they're battling with in trying to overcome that view of the world. Here's why we need to be thinking more about entrepreneurs, particularly within the Labor Party, within the Labor cause, and being able to do it in a way that you would never see if you were to flip this to the Coalition. You'd never see the Coalition talking about the need to boost unionism in Australia, but we're actually flipping the formula, talking about the need to have more entrepreneurs in this country. Here's why. 2 out of 5 jobs in Australia by 2030 will be completely upended by technology. 70% of young people going into the workforce now will see their jobs radically alter. 13 out of 19 industry sectors in this country will be changed as a result of automation, robotics, technology. We can see all that change that's ahead of us. When it comes to thinking about innovation and thinking about the jobs of the future, we are very much thinking about not being the victims of technology, but being the beneficiaries of it. And so we need to have in place a whole set of different policies that encourage those people that are willing to take a risk. Those people that will see their jobs change, that we have to have an ability to allow them to transition from one form of work where they had a set or basically a locked set of skills that need to now be changed to deal with the altered reality of the workforce. For young people who, and I do a bit of travel here and there, and particularly in the States, and when people tell me that younger people entering the workforce who saw their parents lose their jobs overnight in the global financial crisis and said, that's not going to be me. I am starting my own job, I'm starting my own enterprise, and I will I will rise or fall on the success of that enterprise, and have said that. But those younger people too that have seen through technology that they don't have to follow the old career path or the old ways of success, that with the application of now some technology can see they can actually affect change themselves. Some of it is driven by desire for wealth, but a lot of it is also driven by the thing that we admire most about young people is that they want to see the world change and they want to be part of that change, and they are basically going with full gusto to bring that change about. And so from our point of view, we need to be ready for that. We don't see innovation, and I think the big contrast between the Coalition and ourselves, the Coalition, when they talk about innovation, it has a very sterile feel about it. Mining boom's ended, now we need to find something else. We're going to go and find and create wealth that way. Wealth creation is important. Seeing a stronger, seeing stronger new sectors who are levering off technology, be it in terms of fintech or health tech, or some of the, in terms of retail as well, which has had the challenge of trying to deal with the rise of online shopping and traditional retailers being challenged by that. Those are all important. Seeing that emerge is important. But again, it's the human element. It's looking after the people who think that if a gig economy takes off, what happens to their jobs? For the taxi driver who sees an Uber driver and thinks that their career's over, how do we build the transition for them? And making sure that that is accounted for. For people who are seeing homes being built, as it's happening right now, by robots. They can get automated construction right now. And you think, what happens to the people that had that skill set that was about building homes and will see their homes basically be built in the future by robotics? What's for them? These are the things that drive us within the Labor Party to say we can actually do very well as an economy. We have the smarts. Australia has had to be innovative. We've been an isolated continent with long supply lines. We've had to make do with our nous to be able to build a nation in the way that we have. So we've got that there, but the question now is, can we do better? And we're not doing very well. We've got some great inputs in terms of our education institutions, our commitment to research, the inputs, when you measure us internationally, very good. Outputs, not so good. The efficiency of measuring the inputs and the outputs, how innovative are we? How many patents are we coming up with? What new technological breakthroughs are we coming up with? Are we bringing forward services, new products that are actually being taken up in other countries as a result of what we're doing? We could do way better. And if we do way better, we see an economy that emerges that's stronger as a result of it. We see more opportunity, and we see communities actually improve for the better. Again, the coalition approach is, this is just about wealth creation for the same old people. We don't see it as that. We see this as literally a national mission to ensure that we have people ready for that change that's coming, and that it's not just seen in a negative sense, it's actually seen as us getting the most out of that change to benefit people. Better paying jobs, more secure, improvement in the way that communities work, move, live, breathe, like those type of applications. Being able to think, for example, of solar panels on a roof, attached to an energy storage unit on the side of the house, charging up a self-driving vehicle that takes you to work, that makes you money with a ride-sharing app, that drops you off to work, goes back home, and then picks you up at the end of the day. Zero emissions, cleaner environment, better movement of people, and we can see all that on the horizon right now. That's when we think about innovation and we link it into the other things that are happening, we're thinking about the way that it can actually change communities for the better. And that's what, in many respects, drives us in this area. And also ensuring, and one of the challenges from the Labor perspective, is that innovation should not just be something that happens in the cities alone. At the moment, 2/3 of startups in this country come out of one city, my home city, and that's Sydney. And I don't think, and as a Sydney-sider, I don't think that's good. And I'm a Sydney-sider saying that. And I'm not just saying that because I'm intimidated by being here in Melbourne. But it's a system weakness. We need to have, if innovation is a truly national effort, then it's got to be all hands on deck. And from our point of view, what we're trying to encourage is not just in the cities, and when Phil comes here, Phil Dale Darks has had a massive impact in terms of talking up Melbourne and being able to work within the Victorian government. The focus of the Victorian government of being able to get more activity in this space has been huge. But we also need to make sure it's not just the eastern seaboard, that there are other parts of the country as well that can see the benefit that occurs when you apply yourself to innovation, and that it's in our regions as well. And within our policies, we're encouraging, in particular through a regional innovation fund, getting the regions outside of cities to get themselves organised. And for the people that think this can't be done, you go over. I was in Boulder in Colorado in January, and you can see a community, a startup community that's literally emerged there. But they're saying, look at these other parts of the states that never thought they would actually get involved in innovation, now starting to organise themselves and seeing the benefit of that. But being able to keep the younger people, instead of seeing them leave because there's no opportunity, being able to have a community grow through the next generation that are involved. So we're thinking in terms of that. But finally, I'd make this point. It's not just us turning up with a whole grab bag of innovation policies and thinking that'll work. That you just, let it run, you pull a cord, it'll, spring to life and it'll take care of itself. There are a lot of other things as well. We cannot have an ideas boom if we are a dud at education funding. We simply cannot. That is why, if you look at what we've approached, the way we've approached federally in terms of school funding, in terms of changing the way vocational education and TAFEs operate, making sure that universities are accessible and training up the next generation. All this work that we're doing, critically important. And again, you cannot have an ideas boom if you're buffering. You cannot have an ideas boom if your broadband network is a dud. And at the moment, where it's now double the cost, the libs aren't going to meet the rollout timeframes that they had. I was in Tasmania yesterday, in Launceston, 100,000 homes were connected, fibre to the premises, because of us. They were promised in Launceston that by 2015 they'd be connected to the NBN, more than the 100,000 that were there already, and they haven't even, not one single home has been connected to the second-rate NBN system, not one, to this fibre to the node system that has been promoted by the coalition. Those areas feel it and feel it badly because they think if we can get the platform in place, then we can actually have the chance to be able to keep young people here, grow new businesses, change the way our city works and operates. And at the moment, what they're doing, I'll make this final point, as I said to him yesterday, you are faced with this insane situation where you train up young Tasmanians to leave Tasmania because you don't have anything else in place to keep them here in terms of the new businesses, the new jobs of the future, the type of things that would connect to community and keep it being able to replenish. And when they think about that, they actually get uptight. Tasmanians rightly get uptight because everyone else is benefiting from the investment made by Tasmanians in their young. We need to be able to change that story. So I think that we are, and the good thing as an opposition, if I can spruik us, is instead of what we had last time, we had a coalition in opposition that was purely committed to one thing, and that's tearing down every single thing that Labor did. Now, we've certainly put the heat on them, and we make no apologies for it, but we want to be in a position that we don't fail the way they did, and that is they have a plan to get into government, but not a plan for government. And so some of the work that we've done, or a lot of the work we've done in this area has been about that, getting ready for government, having a game plan, making sure that we see longer term that we're getting the country ready, because for those changes I mentioned at the start, what I said to you about the 13 out of 19 industry sectors, 2 out of 5 jobs changed. We're training people up now for jobs that are going to literally disappear. We need that stuff will not get fixed up overnight. But in the traditional Labor way, if we think ahead and we apply a concern to the human element of this, and it's not just about the whiz-bang of tech, then we can actually build a better country. And when people think, if I can leave on this note, when people think who is getting it right on innovation, our vision should be that people turn to Australia and say, Australia gets it right, we can do it, and we'll make sure we'll do it through the rise of the self-employed that are applying themselves in new ways, creating the new jobs, and making sure the opportunity emerges. Thank you again for tonight.
Thank you very much.